Hey everybody, I'm Steph, and today is, Friday the 4th, and I am bringing you Steph's Hodgepodge of Gaming. And I got a lot to talk about because I always like to post my top favorite, or I always post every month. At the beginning of the month, I post a huge blog post on all of the new games I learned in the previous month. And so now I can start doing like top 10 favorite games I learned in August 2020. So I'm going to run down the list, my top 10 favorite games that I got to learn. And they're not necessarily new games, but older titles as well. If they're new to me, I always cover every game that I learn. So, you know, I play them all. And sometimes it takes a long time to play a game. And yeah, you just gotta play them at some point, right? And some new expansions that I learned, and all the games I also featured in the blog. I'll cover that as well. But I will focus on the top 10 favorite games that I got to learn in August of 2020. Okay, let's just jump right into it. My number 10 favorite game that I learned in August was Dungeon Lords. Amazingly enough, I just learned this game, and you know, it happened because it was an opportunity to play online, and I've always avoided it because I've heard horror stories of like people like sitting in like 5-hour long games of Dungeon Lords and just like it's miserable to teach and miserable to learn and all these different things. So I've just kind of like avoided it because of what I've heard in the past. So I'm glad I finally got to try it. We played at 3 players. And Shrey knew all the rules, so it was easy to jump right in. It wasn't as complex as I was anticipating it being. It's fairly straightforward, and I quite enjoyed it. It was only like a 90-minute game, and maybe online is the way to play. I'm not sure. But I quite enjoy Dungeon Lords, and I get why people like it, and I get why it could run long, because you could overanalyze everything totally. And so I'm not sure that I would want to play it a whole bunch in person with people I don't know or people who don't know the game, but I would definitely want to play it again. I had a great time playing it. I've played it a few times now online, and I've enjoyed it a lot. And it makes me want to pull out Dungeon Pets. I've owned Dungeon Pets for like a million years now since that came out because it's so cute, but I only played it a few times when I first got it, and it's still on the shelf because I don't want to get rid of it. So I need to really pull that out and play it again and see the comparisons between the two games now. If anybody else knows Dungeon Pets, then I guess tell me if I should play it. It's on my mind, and it's definitely one I want to play again, and it's so cute. So Dungeon Pets, I'll be checking that out again soon. For now, Dungeon Lords was great, and going on to number 9. Number 9 is Instacrime Munford. So if you're familiar with the Sherlock Files or the Sherlock Files is what I most compare this game to. It's where you shuffle up a deck of cards and people are trying to piece together a crime. And so with Instacrime, it works kind of in a similar way where it's just working with pictures. So I get a picture and I can describe my picture to Michael, who has his own picture, and we kind of compare what our pictures are trying to say and remember what we've already seen and all these different things that are happening within our picture. And we're trying to like piece together what kind of story is meshing. Now the difference is while I think this is incredibly innovative, the ending wasn't so great, where there's no like scoring system like there is in the Sherlock Files. And so I think there's room for development on how to like score Instacrime, but because it's so innovative and it has images and photographs, which I really love, this made my top favorites because I think it's I think there's a lot of potential. It was only case 1, so there's room to improve and grow within the system that they've created. I really, really enjoyed it. I love the Sherlock games that they've put out as well. This is a GDM Games. And so I love what they're doing with the cases and the crime solving that we're doing. So all these great, like, one-off kind of games where you spend an hour trying to solve a case. I love that. I think it's so much fun. So Instacrime, Munford is, like, super fun. I look forward to more titles in the series. So, yeah, that was number 9. We have a comment from Tim Roller. Dungeon Lords has great components. Dungeon Pets has better reviews and never played. So he's never played it. It is super cute. So Dungeon Lords was my number 10. And Dungeon Pets, I played long ago. I forget everything about it except for it being ridiculously cute and a faster gameplay for sure. But it's, again, one I want to revisit, so I could talk about that more, hopefully soon. So then it was number 9, which was Instacrime, Munford, and number 8 is Freedom. Now, this is not Freedom, the Underground Railroad, which is an amazing game by itself. This is a new game from Phalanx Games, called Freedom. It's a 2-player siege game where one player's playing Greece, one player's playing the Ottoman Empire, and the Ottoman Empire is trying to take over Greece, and Greece is just trying to stay alive. And it has a really cool, like, card system, which I guess would be familiar to people who know Twilight Struggle. I haven't played it yet, but I anticipate it hitting the table soon, and other type of games like that. Again, history isn't really my thing. I'm not so interested. I was more interested in Freedom because of the colorful board, the beautiful box, the beautiful, like, production of it, like, interest me enough. And then when I was talking about it on the BGG live stream during Comic-Con, I believe, and it really caught my eye, so I wanted to try it out, and, you know, I had a great time playing it. It obviously made number 8 on my list, so that's really exciting. So, you know, it's usually not my type of game. It was fairly long. I mean, I think it probably ran 3 hours. So when you're playing something 3 hours, do you want to play that? Do you want to play War of the Ring? It kind of, I don't know where it falls, but for now it's going to stay in the collection and we'll play it a few more times. I want to try playing the opposite side and see if I can hang on as Greece and maybe, like, win that way. It seems really hard to win if you're not the Ottoman Empire, so we'll see. It's definitely a challenge. The rules for Freedom are not that complicated and pretty straightforward, so I think, you know, I didn't have a problem with it, but I don't know if I'm the norm or not. I mean, certainly it is a heavier game because you are constantly thinking and deciding on which cards to play at the opportune time. So all of that needs to be in consideration for every move. You might have a plan at the beginning of the round, but then by the time the round is over, you know, your opponent's played 3 cards that you want to be able to trigger. So then you're like, well, now everything's changed, and you have to, like, kind of, you know, be tactical about your situations. So, yes. So, yeah, the Freedom that I'm talking about is not Freedom, the Underground Railroad, which is also a fantastic game, which I recommend both. Number 7 I have is Back to the Future, Back in Time, and I've played it several times this month, and a few on live streams, a few just by itself. It's a fantastic cooperative game where you are, like, you have a pool of dice to perform actions, and you have these, and you can move around the board and, you know, try out different challenges. You can only ever do 2 of the same colored die, but the dice will be specific to what type of challenges it's good for. So you need to use your dice wisely. And, you know, if you're familiar with Back to the Future, it's revolving around the first movie, and you're trying to get Lorraine and George together so the photograph doesn't fade, but you're also trying to move the car to Doc's house, find the parts, and get the car to the right space at the right time before time runs out. So you're working through all these different things that are happening, trouble cards and movement cards of Biff, and Biff is trying to like ruin your day, and there's a lot of good things happening in this game, and it's one that I really enjoyed. I think I've lost 3 games and won 1 game, so it's 25% wins. That's not so bad, but we got extremely lucky the 1 game we did win, and we also did that on the live stream too, so that was fun. Number 6 is 3 Dragon Ante. Now, this game, if you have an older like copy of the game, can go for quite a bit of money. So we, selling some of those games, but I wanted to try it before I sold the last one that I had, and we had a great time playing. And there's a new edition out, the Legendary Edition. So now you can get that game on Amazon or whatever. I think it's from WizKids. So I haven't actually opened it, but I played the one that I sold for a lot of money, and then I bought the new one because why not? It's a great game. So you're manipulating these cards to try and do actions and claim the pot of money using your dragons and steal money from other players and gain more cards and all these different things that are happening with these dragons that you're playing. And so you're just trying to win the most money, and it's a lot of fun to try and get the matching dragon set every round. If you can have the same 3 dragon colors or the same number of dragon, like 555, you get a bonus. All these different ways you can like combo and get bonuses, but you're also looking at the abilities of the cards to try and activate, and there's ways you might get screwed over by other players, and I think it's a pretty great card game, and one I would definitely want to play again with more players, so I really like it. So that was 3 Dragon Ante. Number 6. Number 5, Merchant of Dunwan. I'll get it right one day. This game was seriously fun. I was totally impressed when I played it. The cover is kind of, it looks like a trading merchant kind of game, and okay, it is. But when you set it up on the table, there's like this beautiful display of like the tiles is in a circular fashion and all the cards around it and the camels moving around. It's just so beautiful just to even look at. It's a fairly simple set collection game, and with 2 players, you're gonna have a little bit different goals, but you're gonna want to have majorities of different colors in front of you. And if you can get 5 majorities and have 4 different colored cards in your hand at the same time, you automatically win the game. Or if the deck runs out, you're going to have to score based on the different points that you have. Everything scores a little differently. But essentially, you are moving on your turn. You're going to move the camel 1 space, or you can spend money to move it further. So it's a rondel type situation where you just keep going around and you're trying to activate the actions you want to activate. And you're going to grab a card and you're either going to put it in your hand or in front of you to try and gain those majorities. And you get to activate the space that you land on. So there's a lot of really great choices. It's very fast. It's definitely a keeper for me. This was a huge hit. Mandu Games. I hope somebody in the US picks it up to distribute, and so I think it's just wonderful. And because all of the actions are double-sided, it's always going to be like a random mix of actions every game, and I really like it. That is one I will definitely want to play more of. And let's see. For number 4, I have Super Skill Pinball. So Super Skill Pinball is a roll and write with the theme of pinball. Now, if you're a pinball fan, this is fantastic. It's super thematic. You are actually like moving this ball around, and you're trying to get skill shots and bumper bonuses and get all the ducks in a row and knock them down kind of thing. And so we've only played 1 level so far, but in the box there are 4 different levels you can even try out and play. So it comes with 4 different experiences inside the box, which is fantastic. It's fairly multiplayer solitaire, because everybody has their own board. You roll 2 dice, and then everybody will use one of the 2 dice. So there's nothing I could do to mess up my opponents. I am just doing my best on my own board, doing my own thing. You have 3 lives, and then there's chances to get more lives, but you'll have 2 balls going at the same time, so you'll have to use 1 die for 1 ball and 1 die for another ball, and you have to use them wisely. Otherwise, you'll just start losing the balls, and then your bonuses will fade and all these different things. And so I might lose my ball, but my opponent might still be going. So they're on a different level than I am. And so now I'm starting over and I'm doing all these different things. And so it's very much like pinball. So if you are at all into pinball, even if you're not really a Roll 'Em Right fan, I think it's still worth checking out. If you're a Roll 'Em Right fan, the theme is there. It's super cool. You gotta play Tommy as you play, because obviously the Who's Tommy is the perfect thing to listen to. So I really enjoyed that, and I look forward to trying out other levels. The number 3 happened like last possible second. It just snuck in there the last day. I got a copy of Fort, and I had to check it out. So I right away put it on the table. We played, and then I immediately put it on a live stream that day because it was so great. Fort is a new game from Leader Games. It has the art that everybody knows and loves from Root. It's the same artist. It gives you that same like fun feeling. And so Fort is all about building up forts, and you have your best friends, and you're trying to gather stuff. Literally stuff. It's your toys and your pizza, and you're trying to use your stuff to build bigger forts, and you send your friends to be your lookouts. And now if you don't use your friends, so the most interesting part of this game, but it's like a deck builder kind of game where you're building up your deck of friends. But if whatever actions you use and whatever cards you use in the round go to your discard pile, cool. But whatever cards you do not use, all your friends that you chose to overlook and not use, they go to your yard. Now, the problem with this is other people can take cards when they recruit friends from your yard. So you might give up the chance of keeping your friends around. And so I think that's like the most interesting part of this game, where you really need to prioritize who you want your friends to be. Even if you want to do an action that's not your friend, but you don't want to give everybody else the opportunity to take your awesome friends. So I love this like struggle that you have, and like you're gonna get some like interesting bonuses along the way. And so you might even want to keep the blue friends, because you're going to score for extra blue friends. So you're going to try and use the blues as much as possible, so you don't lose them to other people if they try and take your friends. So Fort was fantastic, and I've already played it a few times, taught my friends, and I've already had a great time with that. So I look forward to playing that one a bunch more. And I think that's already released. If not, it's really coming out really soon. My number 2 for August is Troya. This came out at Essen 2019, and I really didn't know much about it. And honestly, 2-player tug-of-war type games like Battle Line and Schotten Totten, they don't really appeal to me all that much. However, that being said, I really, really love Troya. Now, it is kind of a tug-of-war game, because you are manipulating dudes on a little map, going back and forth to try and score points. The difference is there is a god activation that you will activate each round, depending on the goods that you're spending. The god will have a cool power, and then this manipulation of the gods is very interesting, because if I use Zeus, it means that, my opponent won't be able to use Zeus on their turn. And so I kind of lock it out for them, but I make it really difficult for me to use it next time, because it'll be more expensive. So there's like a neat little mechanic within using these different gods. And so you're actively trying to think of the best action you want to take to help you get your guys to the other side so you can score. But you also want to manage the god board to be in your benefit versus their benefit. There's like a dual kind of thing going on, and it's really cool. And I don't even generally like 2-player only games, but I play a whole lot of 2-player games, and this one was really cool. And definitely a keeper. Definitely going on the permanent shelf over here, and one I would love to play more of. So, and it's also cool that one player plays one side and the other plays another side, and there's different goals on how to score and what you need in order to win. And so there's also a definitive time ending, which is really great. So even if nobody can meet their goals, when somebody runs out of cards in their deck, the game end will also trigger. So, it's going to be a fast game no matter what. And honestly, it's really, really beautiful and fantastic. So, well-deserved number 2 spot. And my number 1 spot is Far Away. This was a total, hit. We freaking love this game. So, we played the intro game, and we won. It was quite a challenge to even win that, and we might have even done something wrong, so we're not even sure if we really won it. But while it was all set up, we're like, oh, let's just do a live stream. It was Sunday, we had time, and we just shot it up on the live stream to play Scenario 1 of Far Away. 4 hours later, I think we ended in doom and dismay. This game is quite challenging, but what's really great about it is that you're set on this world. It's a 2-player cooperative exploration game where if you're not on the same tile as the other player, you can't talk to them at all. So you're kind of off doing your own thing. There's no radios that you can use, so you can't talk to them. But if you're on the same tile, you can kind of meet up, figure out what you got to do, all these different things that are happening. So it's a really cool exploration game. Every time you explore a new tile, you roll a die, and you might find a monster, you might find a resource, you might find materials you need, you might find ruins. You don't know what you're gonna find, and it's so crazy because and on our live stream we just kept finding all the monsters. But so the way that the monsters work is that they're not gonna attack you per se unless you're the obvious choice in which they will attack you. Like if they're carnivorous and you're one space away and you're smaller than them, and all these things line up. Otherwise they might go after a different landscape, or they might go after a different creature type, or all these different aspects depending on what the environment provides. They will shift their movement to other parts of the world depending on what's there. So they might not come after you, but they might come after you, and you have to watch out for that because you do not want to be the next meal. If you lose, then everybody loses. You got to start over, reset kind of thing. It's a really cool exploration game. There's multiple missions and multiple sessions you can complete, or try to complete. In our case, we only did the intro game, and then we did Scenario 1, which we didn't even come close to completing because there's 5 different missions within Scenario 1 and I think we did maybe 2 or 3 of them before we just we had an incredibly unlucky game on that live stream, but we had so much fun playing anyway. And I look forward to playing Scenario 1 again, and hopefully we'll get a little bit luckier with our exploration and different resources that we need in order to complete the buildings we need and all these different things that we have to accomplish to get saved. But it's such an interesting game and well-deserved number 1 spot. It is definitely under the radar. I only saw it on Instagram. I'm like, what's that? Because I get interested in games I don't know because why don't I know about it? Like, I want to know about all the games. So anything I don't know about, I'm like, what's that? What's that? Give me. I want to play. And so, and this one is special because it's cooperative and it's 2-player only, which I think is fantastic. So that was my top 10 favorite games learned in August 2020. You can find the full list on my blog. All the Meeples of the Rainbow on BGG, or Pumpkin312 is my username. So I posted that last Monday. And so I also wanted to talk about some of the new expansions I've learned. So I learned Harry Potter, Hogwarts Battle, the Charms and Potions expansion, which I absolutely adored. And we also featured that on the live stream as well, the first box of that box of expansion. And I love Harry Potter. So that was super fun. And I look forward to playing it again and learning what actually potions are, because it's in the title. So I'm guessing we're going to know what potions are really soon. Charms are these new like powers that every player has, and they're different. There's tons of options. I think there's like 10 or 12 in the box, so you're gonna get to try a whole bunch of different charms, and that helps balance the craziness of all of like the villains and stuff, because it can be quite a challenge if you have a bad mix of villains out there. But we love it. I love it. It's a game that I will always love to play. Harry Potter, Hogwarts Battle, so much fun. Cooperative deck builder. It's perfect for any Harry Potter fan. Also, I learned the expansion for Smartphone Inc., which is the update status 1.1 or something. And so it actually turned Smartphone Inc. into a keeper. Playing the base game by itself was fine, but the expansion really hones in for 2 players and changes the game dramatically. It also offers a whole bunch of modules and even like advanced play that you can do. So I really think if you play 2 or 3 player games mostly, and you're looking at Smartphone Inc., that if you don't include this expansion, it's just not going to be as much fun for you. So this gives you a whole new board, and it's all very tight, and it plays very nicely. So this expansion alone makes the base game a keeper on my shelf. So it's one I will want to play again. I really liked the experience with 2-player. It's definitely a cool game. So those were worth noting. I got to play a few games on the live stream this week. We started with Pendulum. This was a new game that came in, and I wanted to play it right away because it's a hot new Stonemaier game, and I really enjoy Stonemaier games in general. I'm always impressed with the quality and just the overall gameplay experiences that his games provide. So I'm always interested in seeing what he has to offer, because there's always something unique about what he's doing. In this case, it's not designed by Jamie, but he has an eye for things. So I think he knows what he's doing. And, people tend to like his games. Obviously, Wingspan was a huge hit. So this game, I think, will be much more particular, Pendulum. I did a full review on Wednesday, and then we played it that night. And so Pendulum, it has a real-time element to it. And I think that's where a lot of people will get lost, because a lot of people don't like the pressure of real time, but it's not exactly the same kind of real time as what you are thinking of, because I often find in this game that I am waiting on timers to flip. So if a timer is on a location, you can't place any meeples in that location or remove any meeples from that location. If a timer is not on a location, then meeples can be placed or moved from with ease and no problem. Now, when the timer flips over and your meeples are on the active space, you can now activate those meeples to take the actions. So only when a timer is at a location can you take the actions of the spaces. So you're like planning all these different spaces where your meeples are going to go and what actions you want to take, but you have to make sure you have enough money because sometimes it costs money, or enough military if you want to conquer land. And so all these different things to consider while the timers are going. There's a 3-minute timer, a 2-minute timer, 45-second timer. And so these timers are going to be flipping back and forth, and you're going to be trying to managing all of your meeples at the same time. It's a real-time worker placement game where you're activating these different spaces according to when timers get there and when they don't get there, and then you can move them around, kind of thing. And so you're remembering all the rules, and you're trying to do the best you can to move up your victory points to get an even amount of victory points for every track. You want everything to be even, because if you can make them all to the parchment area, then you can win the game. If you do not move your legendary token, you cannot win the game. And so you, at some point during the game, you're going to have to complete a legendary mission. Otherwise, you won't be able to even qualify to win the game. So it's very different, which I think is really cool. I think it's very innovative and different experience. So while it may not be the deepest worker placement game that you can think of, I think because of the timer mechanic and the activation of your actions, everybody's gonna screw up. You're gonna screw up a few times. It is what it is. It's gonna happen. But I think it's a really cool and unique mechanism that they've included there. So I think it's a keeper for me. I'm interested in trying the solo game. There is a solo mode, as most Stonemaier games have, and it plays up to 5 people, as most Stonemaier games, because he has this he wants to make sure he can fit a large audience of people with this game. So that's pretty cool. And then there's advanced side. So all the player boards have different front and backs, and all the different tracks are different and different starting stuff. So nobody's gonna have the same starting stuff. It's gonna be asymmetric. So it's really cool. It's cool. I'm probably one of the few people out there that this game will appeal to. I already have heard a bunch of people with the from the opinionated gamers that their email blasts have been nonstop hatred for this game. So it's not gonna be for everybody. And you going in, you gotta just know that maybe you should try it before you buy, kind of thing. If it sounds like it's for you, you'll probably like it, because I think it's so unique, and I think I knew I was gonna like it, even though it has a real-time element. Again, all of my gamers that I play games with might not be for them, but Michael and I have had a good time playing it. So it's definitely gonna be on the shelf for now anyway, and I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. So other games that we did on the live stream, we played a game of Meeple Towers, where our boards, the meeples, got super high, and that was fun. I wrote it up, I think last week, or this week, I don't remember. But you're just playing out these cards, kind of like Concordia, where you play, and then eventually you're going to have to take back your cards. So you're either going to put out some pillars or put out meeples on the board. You're just trying to score the best you can. And it's a fun little cute game. Easy to play. Very fast. So all that, pretty great family game. What else did we play? We played Winner Winner Chicken Dinner on the live stream recently, which was a ton of fun. And I always love pushing my luck. Rolling the dice, collecting those chickens, turning them into dinner. I always have so much fun with this game, and I love that squeaky chicken. So that's on video too. We played Court of Miracles, which is a weird kind of hidden area control kind of game. You're hiding your values of your discs in order to try and take over the different districts and become the penniless king. If you can get your 6 renown tokens out on the board, then you are doing well and you won the game. And so you're just trying your best to figure out how to get these renown tokens onto the board. It's fairly good. It probably is not best with 2 players, but I could see it really working well with 4 players. So it's one that I would definitely want to try again with more players. I think it's a really solid game with some interesting mechanics. So I haven't seen many games like it. I think it's beautiful production. I love the art. It's very like style. It's like it has a unique style, which I think is really cool and fits the game very well. So if you like area control and like a little bit of take that, I think this could be fun for you and your group. So that might be one to check out. Other games I featured in the blog were Paradise Lost. Paradise Lost is it's a game that is Tokaido meets Clue. That's the best explanation I could think of. You are moving along a path like Tokaido, and that the further you go, you can't go back, so you want to take your actions wisely. Or, you might get locked out of situations if somebody goes to the space you want. And you're trying to collect these different cards to get knowledge, to get resources, so you can get these cubes, to get knowledge cards, to scroll cards, so you don't have to find out what the weapon is. But you're every like pillar or oracle you meet along the way, you're gonna learn things about other players' cards that they know. But you're trying to figure out the villain and the weapon by the end of the track. So you're trying to solve the water witch's hideout for the villain and the weapon by the end of the game in order to win the game. So you're trying to like solve this like mystery as you go along a Tokaido board, and it's beautiful. It has like it has all my favorite like grim characters like Jack and the Beanstalk and Little Red Riding Hood. And there's even other characters like Van Helsing and so there's like a lot of different cool like characters that you know and love already. I even think Thor is in there. So all of these different characters like randomly like mesh together, and the art is fantastic. So it was interesting, and I'm glad I got to play it. I'm not sure it's one that like I love, but I would certainly play it again. I'm debating if I should do it on the live stream. So if that's something that interests you or you want to see it played, then, give me suggestions on what to play on live stream, and I'm happy to take suggestions. So that, I'm super excited that, we got to play that, and we'll see if it gets featured. There's like 3 different boards. So we have the roll-up mat, we have the small board, and we have the big board. And so, I guess people on the Kickstarter complained that there wasn't a small board, so they made a second small board, and that's why we have, 3 boards, and then there's, a map, and all these different things are happening. I'm like, okay. Probably too many boards, but, it is what it is. So, what else did we play? Oh, we got to play going to Kickstarter this month game called Merchant of Infinity. Michael and I put in a lot of time and effort into this game because we went through the rules. We helped him out with the rules. We gave him all of our opinions on everything over and over. And we did it over Discord. So with the designer, we gave him a ton of information on how he needs to present the game and how he needs to change the rules to be consistent. And a lot of times with first time or second time Kickstarter designers and all these things, we find all these problems with the rules, and this was no exception. It definitely that's how it was, and we had a rough time even just setting up the game based on the rules that were presented to us, because Michael and I like to take everything very seriously, and we go by the rules. And if the rules don't say to put out cards on space A, B, and C, then we're not going to do it, because we're not going to assume anything. So this is where, people need to really lay out the law of what needs to happen in what order and be consistent with it. But Merchants of Infinity, go on a Kickstarter, September 22nd, I believe. So, it's an interesting trading worker placement kind of game. You're not trading with other people per se, but you are placing workers on a space, and you can get at most 3 resources around, and you're trying to fulfill different orders and vortex cards and all these different things. But you have 6 workers, but you can only take 3 resources. And so there's market price values for these resources, or you can try and use the resources to complete orders. The cool mechanic here is the vortex cards, which don't require you spending resources. You just have to be on the location of the resource. So you're getting these vortex cards, and then you just need to play them when you have the resources, and so you get bonus points that way. The part of the game where I didn't particularly enjoy as much were the cogs cards, and the cogs cards are kind of like an auction mechanic to gain initiative for the round. So whoever has the most cogs will get to go first in the round, and you place your meeples and go on and do it again, and then you have the cogs round again at the beginning of a round, and so you keep doing this. I think it's over 6 rounds for 2 players. So the cogs cards I felt were pretty much the weakest part of the game and not really needed. It seemed like an add-on kind of thing. So I think there's a good game here. I'm not sure it's completely ready, but who knows? I think people will be attracted to this game because of the art, because of the cool meeples, because of all these different reasons. And I don't think they'll be disappointed. I think it's a solid game for now. I do wish the cogs were a module that you didn't have to play with. Like, I think just being whoever has the least amount of platinum will go first, and that would be sufficient enough for me for the whole round. And just get rid of the cogs. Because I got so many points in this game where every action was 8 points, basically. Every action that I took ended up being like about 8 points. So if you're not getting 8 points per meeple that you place, you're kind of missing out. So you need to really optimize what you're doing. And so if you're spending actions to get cogs cards, well, I think cogs cards don't get you points in the long run. So it's you might be missing out if you start prioritizing going first. I don't know. I'm interested. Once people play it, tell me what you think. But what you think. I do think what Michael said right there. There's a good game there, and I think that the rules will be tightened. I hope we gave good feedback for him, and I hope that, he takes what we said to heart, and he makes it a little bit cleaner and polished. So we want to help him. We want him to do well with this Kickstarter. So, I think there's a lot of potential, and, it's how well do people take criticism when we're talking about their baby? That's kind of like, if you can take it well and you can work with it, then I think you will succeed in the long run. Otherwise, if we just wasted his time by giving him all of our feedback and, he's not going to do anything with it, other people will have the same problems and same questions and same things that we've had. I mean, there's always somebody in BGG forum. If Michael and I are playing a game and we have a question, somebody else has asked it in BGG. So we are not the only ones who have questions. Everybody that plays the game will have the question. So unless you just assume, which we don't like to assume. So there you go. Other games I played online with some friends. I learned Arkwright the card game. Arkwright the card game is really cool. I have Arkwright the board game behind me. It never gets played because it's a beast of a game. It's ridiculously big. It's probably the biggest game that I own that I just could not teach at all. Like, I could teach Eclipse all day 100 times over versus Arkwright the card game, which is like insanely more complex. Now, I like that they made a card game version of that. So we played, rules were fairly streamlined, straightforward, easy to understand. It's a game I could easily teach. And it gave me an Arkwright feeling of trying to produce your goods and sell your goods at the best cost you can. So there's a lot to be said for getting that Arkwright feeling into a card game. It worked fairly well. I definitely want to play the advanced game because I think it will offer more interesting options during the game. I'm not really sure what it adds. I know it does add something. So that was really, really cool game. And one that I'll be looking forward to playing again in the future. I enjoyed it. I'm glad it was available online. The Kickstarter just ended. There might be a late pledge available. I'm not sure. But I'm glad I got to learn it. I recommend it. I learned Off the Rails, which is on Board Game Arena. This has been on my want to play list for 2 years now, since I learned it was going to be released at Essen 2018. And that it was fun. It's a fun little like tile placement game where you're pushing your like mining cart around. You have to build the rails and try and collect the little gems and get off the board. Now, the thing that got me that I didn't quite enjoy was that it's so fast. So there's 2 parts to the game. One where gems are being added, and then one where the mine starts collapsing. We didn't even get our carts out of the mine one time before the mine started to collapse. So it just seemed really fast. The game itself didn't seem fast, but the whole, like, we had a bunch of buildup just to only start collapsing. And so we didn't really have, like, the plateau of, like, cool, now we're getting things. Then now we decline. We just would, like, build up, down, 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 down. It was just, like, a dramatic, like, switch in the game, and you're like, ah. So I no longer have it on my wish list, but I'm happy to play it again. I'm glad it's available on BGA, so that's cool. On the other day, Shrey wanted to play Aura at Labor, and I'm like, yes, it's been so long. It's been multiple years since we've played this, and I know Shrey loves it. I love it. Derek hadn't played it before, so we're just like, yeah, let's play. I'm always up for Uwe Rosenberg games. Always, always, always. My favorite, absolute favorite designer. I would play Feast for Odin anytime, anywhere. Love. So Aura at the Boar was great to get to the table again. There's always so many interesting choices. I went for all the cloisters and made a huge, like, 14 cloister, like, craziness on my board, and it was awesome. And I ended up winning just barely because I managed to get a few actions that gave me the tokens I needed to get the 30-point chits, and so I had 2 30-point chits. Oh man, everything just worked out at the end for me somehow. So I managed to pull that one off, and it was a fairly close game. I think Shrey was only like 3 points behind me or something, and so it's not like I ran away with it. I barely won. It's always such a great game. I love playing that, so I'm excited. That was about all the games I played. I have a bunch of new games that I'm excited to share that I just got. So let's see. From Pandasaurus, I got these 2 games. The Game, Quick and Easy, and Silver and Gold. So I played Silver and Gold long ago, April 2019. And so I'm glad it's finally being released in the States. It's a super cute, fast, roll and flip and write game where you're just trying to fill in these different, like, patterns and collect gold and, you know, just trying to fill out these map cards so you can get points at the end of the game. It's very easy, very, you know, light and just fun to play, easy to bring around. Like, one my family could play for sure. I get why people love this game. So I actually featured it on the live stream on Wednesday, and we had a good time playing. I enjoyed it. Now, the game, Quick and Easy. Now, let's just say it's quick and ridiculously hard, and we're dead. So it's not necessarily easy. It's a hard game to win. I suppose it's easy to learn. It has very easy rules. So maybe that's what they're going for. But I'm renaming it to The Game Quick and Dead. We played 4 games in 20 minutes because we lost 3 and then finally we won 1. What I love about this game, let me just open it up real fast. is all this amazing artwork, which obviously reminds me of, where are all the good cards? Okay, so like she reminds me of the lady in Coco, and he reminds me of the guy in Coco. If you're familiar with Disney's Pixar Coco, I love that the skulls are now like the Day of the Dead characters. I think that's fantastic. It made me want to listen to Coco. So while we were playing, I put on the Coco soundtrack, and it was so much fun. And this is great. This is super great. I can't tell you how much I love that. So I'm excited to write up about my game experience with that. We'll probably feature on the live stream because it's so fast and fun, and more on that later. But that's definitely one to check out. This is very exciting. Cartographer Heroes. Oh my goodness. I love cartographers so much. So this is like super exciting for me. I think this is going to Kickstarter in a few weeks. And I am very excited to try it. I love everything cartographers. So whatever they have to add in here, this box is fairly heavy. So I'm very, very excited to see. I haven't even opened it yet. I just got it. I literally just got it. So very exciting. All these different cool things. I don't even know. This is one I'm gonna have to feature because it's gonna be amazing. I already know. Or maybe it's just me. Maybe I love cartographers so much that I don't know. Pythagoras Games. They sent me a whole bunch of cool games. The two games that are being released this year are Cafe and Rocio. And I've actually tried out Rocio so far, and it's fantastic. This one's still in shrink. I haven't had the opportunity, but it says it's a 2-player game. So obviously that's great because I play 2-player games. I'm not sure really what it is or what it's about, so that will be coming up soon. Hopefully I get to show this on a full game of it on the live stream on Sunday. That's my plan at the moment. And just to show it off, it's a really cool like hand management, abstract tile placement kind of game. Really cool, really cool. Other games from Pythagoras that I just got as well that are, I think, from 2019 are Garum. And, oh, this one's heavy. 6 Castles. So all these games look really cool, and they were all on my wish list of games that I wanted to play, so I'm very excited to try them out now. You know, it can be hard to get Portugal games here in the United States, so Portuguese games, I'm very excited to play all those games. Rocio is fantastic, so I bet the other 3 will be great as well, so those are really cool. I have one more psychedelic game that I just got that I'm like, I don't know if I should be scared or excited. Cosmic Frog. Oh my god, this game is like trippy. I don't do drugs or anything, but oh my god, if I ever smoked pot or anything, I think this would be like the game to play. The game looks ridiculously like heavy too, like you're exploring the world and everything, and all these like frogs. I gotta show some of these cards because I have no idea what is going on in this game, but dang is, oh well, you get these like miniatures that are like these like frogs, but also like the cards are just so like trippy. I love this art. It's like ridiculous. I mean, the colors are outstanding. And I mean, it's definitely a theme that nobody's had before. So it's got that going for it. It's totally unique. I'm very interested to see how it plays out. Whoa, hey dude. So those are all the new games that I got this week that I'm excited to check out. I also want to try playing the new Portal game, so hopefully we can feature something like that on the live stream next Wednesday. There's a lot of games going on these days, so lots to play. I'm very excited to talk about everything that I've got on my unplayed shelf. So got to get it all played, right? I got to find time to play it all. Any other questions or anything that people have, or if you have suggestions on what I should play on the live stream, I love taking the suggestions. Or what you want to see more of. Do you like when I just talk to the camera, give you my top 10s? What do you like? What do you want to see? Do you want me to play roll and write games with you on the stream? All these different things. I have all these ideas. So it's hard to implement them all because there's so much that I want to do, but I'd rather get people's opinions and figure out what people really like. And if you wanted to play like Second Chance again, or Avenue, or some other games that everybody can play at the same time, that's a lot of fun for me. That's a lot of fun for you. So all these ideas that I got, follow along the stream here, follow along on Instagram, Twitter, all the good stuff, and you'll see my posts when I go live. You'll see my photographs, you'll see my blog posts, you can see my top 10s, my favorite games that I learned in the month, all these different things that, you don't want to miss out on. So I appreciate you following and, supporting me in any way. And by sharing my posts or just even liking them is great and wonderful. So I appreciate everybody out there, and look for me on Sunday. Hopefully we'll have a cool game to show off then, and stay tuned. There's always more, right? Michael's like, squad leader, Mega Civ. No. Those are too long for me. All right. I will see you all next time. Have a great long weekend. Play all the games.